7 foot tall, so I'm a giant, so it's given me quite a few opportunities in bits and bobs of films that you may or may not have seen, but try and answer some questions and give you some insight into behind the scenes and what we actually do when we are acting.
Yeah. So my career started in 2002. I landed a role in Azkaban, in the prison of Azkaban. I was a werewolf in Azkaban. And then I went from there to Batman Begins. And then I went to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And then I went to Beowulf and Grendel. And then I went to Eragon, Stardust, Golden Compass. Some TV programs called Doctor Who. Some
never
more.
heard of that.
Yeah, never heard of them. And we'll get to them characters real soon. And then I think Guardians of the Galaxy, which is immense, we're in Peter Pan together. Which started a real good relationship up, really, didn't it? Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, I will chop his legs off if he starts getting pinching at work. I've got Frankenstein soon to be released in December, and the works, lots more works to come. So my resume's starting to get nice and strong now, so they know who I am.
We all know who you are. We all know who you are.
Okay, can I kick it off?
Yeah, you certainly can. What's your name? Sorry.
Father of the bride.
Father of the bride. Neville John Wilding, my dad. Please give me a hand. That's what I'm doing here, you know. That's the oak tree right there.
When you come down to see your mum.
That's another story. Okay, now, I mean, what intrigues me, I mean, you've worked with people like Robert De Niro and Michael Caine and Jeremy Irons. I mean, some iconic people that I think, you know, these are people's dreams. Do you learn anything from, I mean, I know you were sitting down with Robert De Niro and he said, call me Bob, and, you know, and then he changed, as you said, from like an old man that you were sitting with, and he got right into character.
Yeah, well, when I landed the role Stardust, that was like 2006, 2005, 2006, and I always wanted to play a pirate, because I sort of had a bit of pirate in me, you know, and I think we all love a bit of pirate, especially coming from Peter Pan, like we call that child dreaming as well. I only knew about pirates really from watching Peter Pan, you know what I mean, that's introduced me to pirates. But when I got that role, we were filming at Shepperton Studios, so they pulled myself, Gorgeous George off Snatch into a room, Dexter Fletcher and a couple of other people, and they pulled us into the room. We didn't know where we were going, we didn't have any idea at all, so they pulled us in a little room, and then the door opened up and they introduced us to Mr. Robert De Niro, and my chin was on the floor, you know, he's always been my idol, and so we all had to say a line to Mr. De Niro, but before we started, Mr. De Niro said, I want you to call me Bob. I went, Bob? Alright, okay. But can't I call you Mr. De Niro, you know? But so we all read this line, and yeah, that's how I got introduced to Bob. I suppose I was a little bit starstruck around Mr. De Niro, Bob. I was walking past him for 2 weeks on set, and he would, every time I walked past him, he was going, "Arr!" He was trying to get my attention, and I was like, but you know, there was a time on because obviously the ship flown in the skies, and we collected lightning, and then we sold it on the black market sort of thing. And it just finished raining on a wet set, and we were both sat on one of the barrels on the ship. And I was still about 2.5 weeks into the job, and so we were back to back like that there now. And our shoulders were touching, and in my little voices in there saying, oh, say hello, say hello, say hello. I've never got that over on anybody, you know, I've always been straight up there talking. And so I turned around, there was a million questions you could have asked him. I went, so where are you from, Bob? I went, oh. he goes, New York, where are you from? And I go, I'm from Wales. And he goes, I got a friend in Wales called John, do you know him? I said, no, it's quite a big place. You know what I mean? But that's how our relationship started. So yeah, Robert De Niro, Jeremy Irons, an amazing guy, filmed with him on Eragon. And we went out drinking together, and we had a great time. My brother came over, and we had a really good giggle. And Michael Caine, I introduced myself as Michael Caine from, because our trailers were next to each other on Batman Begins, and he was screaming at the football match. He's probably one of the boys, he's grounded, you know. I wanted to go, oi, shut up. No, I didn't know that. But no, it was great. Yeah, well, I've worked with some legends, and the trip is still going.
It's brushing off.
It's starting to go. Feels like I've got a good grip on them ladders now, you know.
Good lad.
Who's that little one at the back? Hey, Bobby Joe, come down here, mate. That's the granddad. No, there's a seat here. Bob.
We don't
Come on,
buy.
mate. There's a seat here. Come on, mate. Bobby Joe Wiley. Got half the family in here now.
And who was it that bought you a big bottle of whiskey?
A big bottle of whiskey. Danny Coyne.
No. Was it in Iceland? You were filming, was it Ghost Rider?
No, that's the oh yeah, tell the story.
Nicholas Cage, that was, wasn't
Yeah, I
it?
can tell part of the story. Yeah.
Were you out fighting?
I do want to carry on working in the industry, Dad.
Okay.
But yeah, I got to work with
Nicholas Cage.
Nicholas Cage. And the producers knew my background because I was a martial artist. I was probably one of the best in the world, so, and I've got a presence, I'm 6'7". So they asked me to, when he goes out, would you look after him? And I said it would be my pleasure, as long as I can drink as well, you know. So we had a great time. And at the end of the show, I went into my room on one of the last days, and there was a lovely parcel on the bed, and there was a lovely bottle of whiskey there, only 10 that hadn't been made, Royal Casket whiskey, and it was just saying great to work with you. It was great to work with Nicholas Cage. What a brilliant guy.
Great moment.
Wow.
Brilliant moment.
Have you done it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I've still got the bottle. I ran out of whiskey. I drunk with Jameson's, and I was just like in that mode that I thought, oh, you know what? Fill out the water. Nobody will ever know. Put the cork back on. Yeah.
A question maybe more, well, for both of you. How did you get into acting in films, and were you acting a lot beforehand, or did you, how did it start?
I've always been a big film fan, and I just wanted to get on a film set. No previous experience or anything like that, and about 5 years ago I watched a documentary show about tall people. Just watched it, just a matter of interest really, tall folks, let's see what these are all about. And there's this tall guy on there, and he'd just finished his basketball career, and he wanted to be an actor, so it showed him going for his audition with an agency, and it showed the audition on the TV show. I thought, oh, this would be interesting. I watched it, and I thought, it's crap. I thought, you know what? If he can give it a go like that, I mean, I could too. So I thought, I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go and audition for these guys as well. So I did a bit of calling around and auditioned for them and got onto the books. And a couple of weeks later, had photos done, and I was on the set of auditioning for a part in Harry Potter. That's sort of how it started. That's my first sort of experience into the acting world. I didn't get that role because I was too big for the costume for the giant. I'm not sure why, but we wanted a giant, they built a costume and I was too big for it, so
I wanted the small giant.
But then a couple of weeks after that I actually landed a role in Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows. The role was actually cut, but that gave me my first experience in acting and showed me that I needed to work damn hard and up my game and actually see what's going off if these opportunities are going to come away. So started acting classes and started to look into it a bit more, and then it sort of rolled on from there really. So it was luck, a bit of naivety, and big learning curve for me.
Yeah. How I got into it. Well, I experienced the feeling as soon as I was born. I got a good slap on the arse. That's how it all started for me. But,
Sorry.
Yeah, so it was you, was it? I've still got the handprint. Yeah, I thought it was a birthmark, Dad. Yeah. Yeah, I always wanted to get into the films when I was a kid, believe it or not. I was always wanted to be a stuntman. I was jumping off this and jumping off that, and I was always putting a bit of a performance on. And later on in life, I thought, well, how am I going to get into the films? I am a dyslexic. I couldn't read or write 15 years ago, so I've come a long way. I've just got one of them brains that ticks a certain way that it makes everything a lot harder for putting dialogue in and things like that. So I got into martial arts because I had this little voice in my head saying, one day you will be in the movies, and you're going to become a champion, and I'm going to be sitting in the audience with a big fat cigar going, hey, I want to be in the movies. Right, there was no guy there with a fat cigar, but I took a few titles, and then I went to a shop in Rill that was owned by Tony Scott Lee, which is Lisa Scott Lee's dad from Outer Steps, right? So he took a few photos, proud son, Welsh-British champion, took some pictures from him on the mantelpiece. So he calls me back up a couple of days later and goes, Spen, your pictures are ready. I went, all right, great, I'll call for him around for tomorrow. Because Spen, I know some people down in London that've got a sports agency that deal with actors that go into the films. And then all of a sudden, this bulb went nice and bright in my head. You know, I've been fighting now for 6 years. The reason I went into the fighting was to get myself into the films and, you know, get respect. I live in a bit of a rough town, and I was falling off the path a little bit, and it brought me back on the good path, you know. So, yeah. So the reason when I went into the films, I was in there for like 6 years, I sort of forgot about the films. So when I got this opportunity to go for an agency to get in the films, this idea went really, this feeling, this dream just went boom. And then I got signed up with an agency straight away the next day. Well, about 3 days later, the owner of the agency come down and signed me up. And the first thing I went for was Snatch, to play Tommy, right? You know, this short, fat scouser. I went to 3 Mill Studios for the audition, but I got on the train. I'd been signed up with this agency a month tops, and I got on the train and I had no idea what was going to happen, right? I'd never been to acting college, I couldn't read. I thought I was going to get on this train, there's going to be a red carpet on the other side, guys with trumpets going, you're in the movies, you know. And it wasn't, it put the fear of God into me. They passed me the dialogue, and I was reading like a 5-year-old, and the guys were like, really, is this guy for real? You know, he's got the look, he's got everything there, but he can't read, you know. So I come out of there, like all my dreams just got shattered like that. So I come out there, I was crying like a kid, and the producer came out to me and said, Spen, listen, do yourself a favour, go and get yourself some sight reading lessons, because you've got a face for what we want, you know, and you've got a presence. So I went for a few more auditions for things, blah, 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 and I was not getting them. And then about 8 months later, my agency had gone quiet with me for 8 months. I get a phone call off a friend saying, hey, Spen, you still in the movies? I said, well, I'm trying to, but I'm not having much luck, so I'll probably just stick at the fighting. And he goes, no, listen, I've heard on the radio that Warner Brothers are looking for a 6'7" actor to play the werewolf, right? Somebody very tall. And I was like, straight away, I went, oh, gods, they're going to get me in this way. It's very weird what happened. So I rang the agency up and I said, am I still signed with you guys? And they said, oh yeah, sorry, we've been very busy, that old chestnut. So I said, listen, Warner Brothers are looking for a really tall actor to play the werewolf. Do you think you could get the audition? They'll only deal with professional actors. It's a closed audition. Oh, right, we'll try our best. 2 minutes later, they rang me back. Said, well, we've got the audition, we've got the audition. So I go up to Leeds Studios. 3 weeks later, 3 callbacks, I get the role. And that's how it all started for me. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
There you go.
I have a question for both, if you don't mind. You've both done TV and film. What are the big differences and what do you prefer?
TV and film?
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Yeah.
Well-
What are the major differences between being an actor in a film and an actor on a TV show?
Well, a budget is a big thing, you know what I mean? And a TV normally doesn't have a budget of a big feature film.
Yeah.
So you don't go over time, they don't do much overtime, and they get the actors in that can go bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean? That's why me and him never work TV. No, it's okay. But no, I've done a lot of TV work. What is for me, you know, when you bring a character alive and the feeling, it doesn't matter what's in front of you. It doesn't matter how big or small the camera is, blah, 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 blah. You've just got more of a play field with a bigger budget, you know? You've got a lot more people available at a higher level and all sorts. But you know what? TV, film, I love them. It's both. It's a mutual world for me, right?
Yeah, definitely. I find with the TV ones, you perhaps a bit more restricted to what you can do with the character, because they haven't got the budget the big movies have. The time's a lot more restricted, so you don't get as much playtime. I call it playtime, where you can play about with what you want the character to do. I found that when I've done TV, the directors have a real sort of strong, solid vision in the head of a particular way they want you to do it, and I think in film, because they have got the money, they've got a bit more flexibility and a bit more time to play with things, whereas TV is a bit more restrictive, I think.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm sure there's a few answers out there that are from different actors, but you know, I think it's going to be all round about the same.